pandemic has also transformed the way businesses is conducted nowadays, right? I mean, it has disrupted forecasting, supply chain, amongst other domains. I recently ordered furniture, and initially they said a couple of weeks. Now they said 2 months, 3 months, and I just don't know when I'm going to get it, because they say it's coming from Vietnam. A lot of things have to come from there, and we are not sure when we are going to get it. And I also read recently that, it was yesterday, that again we are seeing toilet paper shortages in some of the stores. For example, these are Costco stores, but they started seeing some of those people are stocking up. But I know there were some challenges last year with toilet paper in Kroger stores, but for the most part, Kroger seems to have managed it really well. And I've never got into a position where there's something that I go to the store and find it out of stock, and I had to go to a different place. How did you pull that off?
I mean, the simple answer is teamwork, right? So throughout the year, we really developed an even closer relationship with our vendor and partners than we've ever had in the past. And that was super necessary, because exactly what you're saying, that we'd have runs on certain commodities within the stores, and we'd have to figure out how to react to those in the best possible way that we can. There's times when it's super challenging, depending on what it was, but doing our very best to react to that through that partnership. When you think about tactically, how did we pull that off? Our divisions, all across the United States, worked really closely with their partners back in Cincinnati to ensure that if we need to make decisions around, re-implementing product limitations. So if we said, hey, for right now, you can only buy 2 of whatever this is, because maybe a regional supplier was hit with an outbreak, or maybe they're seeing increased buying patterns within a locality, we were able to quickly adjust, pivot, make those decisions, and to try to do the best thing for that area, for that customer. But when you look throughout, you mentioned this, when you look throughout the entire pandemic, our supply chain has remained really strong throughout that. And I think it's actually gotten stronger because of the relationships that we've driven, not just within Kroger and our teammates, but really with our vendors and partners. It's so critical.
That's really awesome. Like I said, we've never had any issue going to a Kroger store and not finding something that we wanted. We always were able to get it. So that's amazing. We spoke about a lot of the good things, but now maybe we want to talk about challenges. What are your biggest data management challenges? Right? Maybe can you share some examples of those?
Yeah, absolutely. When you look over the last, several years, we have had awesome digital growth. So when you look year over year and quarter over quarter, we're continuing to have just really strong engagement by new customers, not just existing customers, but bringing on new customers as well. And that's brought all kinds of new opportunities in the data space for us to figure out how to use data in new and innovative ways. And yourself being a Kroger veteran, you know a little bit about our landscape, right? We're a big company. We're a massive technology landscape, and then you figure out, how do you combine your legacy systems with these new processes in a seamless way that can drive the most frictionless, seamless operational processes at the end, right? It really has required a lot of new thinking around our integrations. It's required new thinking around data quality and process challenges. We have a lot of modernization efforts that are in flight today, and we just continue to drive great innovations and new opportunities to simplify, rationalize those environments, and really prioritize in the end, starting with the customer, working ourselves backwards into those platforms and saying, how can we make this the most seamless thing for our customer and our associate? And we're really trying to focus the data landscape to do exactly that as we go through this. It's a challenging at times, as you can imagine, but it's really rewarding when you start to see it come to fruition.
Yeah, I hear you. We see that as well in industry. I mean, for organizations that have been around for many years, integration between legacy and newer applications, newer technology landscape, technology stack is always an interesting challenge to address, and we do see that with our other clients as well. So, all right. This is the last question. I mean, the discussion about data analytics is never over without talking about data governance, right? I mean, data governance is critical for any organization to maximize the returns on data-driven opportunities. Curious, how do you address this at Kroger? I mean, do you have a data council of some sorts? To give an example, I recently read in a research article that one of the global companies distributed several of their data domains across their senior leadership, right? C-level and vice president level. They distributed them across all of them and made them accountable. And eventually, everyone realized the value and became champions of their own respective domains, which in turn paid that company big time. It's just an example of how one of the companies approached it, but I'll be curious to know how do you address data governance in Kroger? I mean, especially given the size and scale and the volume of data that you deal with, and I'm sure it's a bigger challenge for you.
Yeah, it's a tremendous challenge, and as you know, there's sort of like that big G governance that a lot of people will shy away from that word and be afraid of it. But I think the key there is really, how do you make governance part of your process and make it easy for people, to really wrap their arms around? I wouldn't say embrace, but not push away, right? So for us, a lot of that starts within how do we drive data cataloging? How do we ensure that our partners understand the definition of our data, the classification of our data, and access to it? And of course, underneath of that is the permission to use it in certain ways. So we do have councils, that meet and talk about some of that. And then some of that we want to build into our software development lifecycle to say that as we go through, we want to make sure that governance isn't a roadblock so teams don't push against it, but it's built into the automation of the platform itself. So if you're publishing new data into our data platforms, that it is automatically being cataloged. It is automatically having data quality checks against it. And then we can start to verify data and have verified data sets that you have a high degree of trust for people to when they want to come and access some of the critical data sets that we have. It is a constant, we'll say, maturing area within really any organization, as I've talked to my peers about, and we're no different. But I think as we continue to strengthen our platform, strengthen our processes, we are going to continue to look for ways to make governance this seamless process that, as much as we can, happens behind the scenes.
Got it. I mean, data governance is something that's ongoing, right? It continues. Yes. Yeah. So it's all I had, Ryan. It was great speaking with you today, and thank you for sharing your valuable insights with us. For the audience, please visit cdomagazine.tech and lingaragroup.com for more information. Thank you.